the act of doing research sucks. At the end of the day, much of the effort that goes into doing research is extremely exhausting. And you often don't get rewarded for all of these moments where you're actually doing research. I mean, that's the name of the game. I want you to think about the vast majority of the companies that are doing this in this world that do research really quite well. They kind of waste a lot of resources, and it seems really stupid when they're doing it, right? Like it feels silly. It feels like this is a waste of my time. And, the fact of the matter is, it is, right? So we actually have this thing where it's almost like a information asymmetry or an incentive asymmetry, I guess, where on one side, the act of actually doing it is extremely painful. Very little feels good about doing research. It's the same thing as doing anything in academia, right? Like, or anything that is school related. It does not feel good. If it felt good, we would have a great deal of number of people that would continue on with it, and it would sort of really, really work. Um, like people would be highly incentivized to continue on. Now, some people are, right? They kind of get it. But there's a lot of people that get very discouraged along the way. And the fact is that it's ambiguous, challenging. Nobody knows how to do it. It's not clear. Everybody is, it's just an extremely notoriously terrible process. And most people that have tried to do research understands how terrible it actually is. It's not fun. The actual act of it is not fun. Now, when you are doing it in the very moment, it's actually not bad, right? It's like climbing a mountain. It feels, pretty good at various different aspects of it. And you kind of enjoy it in the very, very moment, but you're exhausted and you don't like to do it, and it requires a very special kind of person. Now, on the other side, right, is thinking about who benefits from this. And I often think so many people benefit, right? Like the benefits of doing research in terms of economic progress, in terms of society, are enormous, but they're hard to quantify. And I often think about this, is where I was going with this point. I think about um, quantifying the impact of Wikipedia, for example, right? Like Wikipedia, and it makes for a good analogy because some of this stuff is actually quantified, right? One person, a Wikipedian, if you look at the number of entries of Wikipedians or Wikipedia people writing things down, um, it's something like 1,000, a couple thousand. It's probably larger now, but a small group of people that are actually writing things down, and that's very nerdy, right? Like that is a weird group of people. No offense if you're a Wikipedian, that's amazing, but you're weird, right? Like there's nobody else that would do that, and it's painfully clear we've got a world of 8 billion, 9 billion people, and you're the one or a couple people that are willing to do this. You're just such a tiny group. On the other side, if we look at the number of people that use Wikipedia on a regular basis, it's tens of thousands a year and I've done this ratio before, for every one person that adds an input, adds something onto Wikipedia, it's tens of thousands. I think it was somewhere around, I did, excuse me, the calculation, I think at the time was like 12,000 or something along those lines, the number of people that actually benefit from this. So if you were to accumulate that, right, let's say of the 12,000 people, one person read your entry and made, I don't know, $1,000 from that. Well, the return on this activity is enormous, and yet it's very difficult to quantify. Nobody's gonna understand it. You won't be able to sort of see, and on top of it, the returns actually go more distributed across society. And it's not something that people will benefit from, right? It's not necessarily something that that is a clear cut thing that somebody could say that I read this in Wikipedia and it changed my life and I became a billionaire because of this thing, right? Like it's not something that happens like this. Generally, it's a little incremental improvement here and somebody that's unknown around some other place, and this happens all the time. And so if you have 10,000 of those moments every year, the returns are just fantastically large from that, and yet they're very very unquantifiable. It would be very difficult to see the quantifiable effect. Maybe you can try, but um, it's not going to be convincing. So that's the problem that we actually face with research in the research game, is that the act of it sucks. It just sucks. Like, ask anybody that does it on a regular basis. They're going to tell you it sucks. Um, Unless they're weird. And yeah, and maybe there's a couple of weird people, but most people would sort of concur that it sucks. And then on the other side, we have this benefit that is enormous and it's distributed and it's ambiguous. Um, that nobody really knows how to quantify and put their fingers on. So, what does this actually mean? It means that if we can have a slight improvement on the research game and making it more fun and interesting, and that's kind of what I'm trying to do with the Reciprocity Project, giving people just encouragement and hope, um, you know, just telling them we're going to be okay, providing tools, like simple things like this, can have an enormous impact, economic and social impact around the world, because it allows people to do their thing, to actually do discovery, to do things that are very difficult to actually do, that most people actually give up on. And so, if we can encourage or create systems or however in various different ways, we can, I can change the world. And I think that the benefits of this far outweigh anything they'll ever be able to do in any other way, of simply thinking about this problem that research sucks, but on the other side, the benefit of research and the benefit of, of providing good, valid understanding is much larger than I possibly can do myself, just by doing it myself. So if we can get people to believe, if we can get people to get up and get going, try every day, regardless of what's going on, and feel compelled to be good about themselves when they're doing it, regardless of what they do and where they go and whatever perspective that they do, they just feel good about themselves. I think there's enormous benefit that that is just missing. It's just missing. And I guess if you're following this, hopefully we can make a difference together. All right, take care and have a wonderful day.